Kate began snapping at me for asking to borrow her phone or snatching it out of my hand if I was so much as moving it away from the edge of the counter so it wouldn't fall. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, gonna go over a story titled, I just caught my girlfriend having you-know-what with my... You're just gonna have to wait and see. And a big shout out to Jay for sending me this story. And guys, this story is all about a guy. He is 22 years old. He's been with his girlfriend for 3 years now. She's 21. And he has what a lot of guys describe as having this amazing relationship. They always say how amazing it is. And I guess it was. And then one day, things started to change. One day, she started acting different. She started acting violent, extremely defensive, all that. And shortly after, with him knowing that definitely something was going on, he walked in on her hooking up with, and you'll find out in real time. And guys, I'm doing this one as a great example of how your relationship, guys, you must always keep your eyes open. Look for potential red flags. You could think you're in a great relationship, everything seems great, and then boom, you walk in on your girl doing somebody very close to you that you never ever expected. You must always look out for red flags, and one of the biggest ones is always the phone. How she's behaving with her phone, guarding it like it was her life depended on it, always on it, hiding it, sneaking away to text and conversations, all that, as well as how people behave around other people, things like that. And how if you then know something's going on, you have to confront them and take action. You just can't just be like, oh, that will never happen. You wouldn't believe it. And this is one of these stories where truth is stranger than fiction. However, you're going to see this story, guys, that eventually justice is served. This guy will walk away all right, and she'll guess what's coming to her, as well as the individual who betrayed him. So it starts off, it says here, so to start, I, 22-year-old male, have been with my soon-to-be ex-girlfriend Kate, fake name of course, for just shy of 3 years. Our relationship throughout the 3 years has been amazing. They always say that, these poor guys. She had always been kind and supportive and very open and honest with me. We had dates often, our lovemaking was great, and we had very few arguments, but when we did get into a disagreement, we managed to communicate and come to an understanding before long. Okay, so what he describes here sounds like an ideal good relationship. But I believed our relationship to be healthy and loving, but apparently I was wrong. On to the story. About a week ago, I started to notice that Kate was becoming very touchy about me being on or around her phone. This was odd to me because not only had she always let me use her phone to make calls if mine was flat or I didn't have immediate access to mine, but she also downloaded games for me to play on her phone so she could distract me when she wanted to watch her shows. Kate began snapping at me for asking to borrow her phone or snatching it out of my hand if I was so much as moving it away from the edge of the counter so it wouldn't fall. And whenever I questioned her behavior, she just brushed it off and explained she was just in a bad mood. No, you don't go from, here's my phone, honey, make a phone call, down, here, play the games on my phone, all of a sudden guarding it for dear life, snapping at him, all that. Something's going on. Her constant dismissal of my noticeable confusion began to annoy me, so I asked her if she was hiding anything from me, which led to an argument about her saying I was accusing her of infidelity and not trusting her. Well, because you're acting completely different, and where there's smoke, there's fire. But you see, guys, you obviously know something's going on, and wait till you see what's really going on, and how she's twisting it around, making him out to be the bad guy. You hear enough of these stories, you can just see the signs. This is why you watch this, guys. These stories, these videos, and this ever happens to you, you know exactly how to handle it. She began trying to get physical with me, in which case I shut the argument down and told her to sleep in the guest bedroom. She was very angry about it, but I told her we would talk about it in the morning. Hang on. Getting physical. Do you mean roughhousing, trying to hit him, slap him, shove him, throw dishes at him? Not cool. That is not acceptable in any situation, whether she's doing it to him or he's doing it to her. And there'd be no guest bedroom. Be like, get the fuck out of here. I don't care if your lease is on the apartment, or your name is on the lease. Get the fuck out of here. When we did talk about it, she apologized for her behavior and gave me her phone. Oh, that's convenient after she had all night to obviously take away any traces of any issues. I told her I trusted her and didn't need to go through it, and to be frank, I did trust her, and I believe her outburst was due to the ongoing stress at work, which was clearly stupid of me. Smack! Come on, dude, there is something going on here, and if she was getting physical with you, that is not acceptable. That is break up. The next day, I noticed that she got a missed call from my father. I'd never known my father to like Kate or even have her contact at all. In fact, I was convinced they both disliked each other. At any and every family event, they would often argue and make snarky remarks at one another until we would have to leave due to the tense atmosphere they had created. Well, that's a little strange. So, I decided to ask Kate why my father had called her. She physically froze and mumbled an excuse about being my birthday soon, and he had planned to do something, but my father and I were never very close, so I didn't understand why he would, but I played it off and decided to go about my day. Ah, how interesting. Dad's calling my girlfriend? What the hell for? Okay, maybe he's trying to reconcile, make up for lost time for my birthday. Sure. Then the following night, I texted her explaining that I had a late shift and we'd be back around 10 p.m., which I did. We ended up being dismissed early due to an incident regarding our manager and a few staff, and I was heading home by 7 p.m., so 3 hours early. I tried calling her, but her phone was off, so I assumed it had gone flat or she'd turned it off, which she does often at home. When I made it home, I noticed my father's car 2 houses down from ours, and so I tried calling him, but his phone was also turned off, which I found very odd because my mom likes his phone to be on so she can call him when she needs him. She is handicapped. He's thinking, I guess my dad stopped by to maybe that birthday surprise. But you're going to see that birthday surprise is, well, not what he expected. I assumed my mother was with him, so I opened the door quietly to surprise her, as I haven't seen her in a while, and I was met with the sight of my girlfriend bent over the kitchen counter with my father right behind her. Holy freaking shit. Now we know why she's guarding her phone like crazy, why Dad called her, and all this drama about them fighting and carrying on was a big freaking act. Or a sexual tension leading up to the dirty deed. Talk about 2 pieces of garbage here. They both froze and started profusely yelling and telling me it wasn't what it looked like, and they could explain. But I shut and locked the door from the outside, deadbolt, and made my way to my friend's house. Not what it looks like, they can explain. How can you explain? You walk in and see your dad plowing your girl from behind on the kitchen counter. What? How can you plot? I would actually want to stay there and say, okay, please explain. I'd love to hear this. In fact, let me get my phone out to record you guys giving you a little massage there. Let's hear the explanation here. Since then, they've both been blowing my phone, apologizing and begging me not to say anything to anyone, and quite frankly, I'm just disgusted. Hell yeah. Disgusted in my father, who's turning 60 next month, and has my mother to take care of, and I'm disgusted in Kate, who's getting railed by my dad for who knows how long. I honestly just want to throw up and set them both on fire. But I'm most worried about my mother. We'll take the situation as she's very dependent on my father and adores him. So who's the bigger a-hole? Girlfriend or dad? Well, obviously the dad, because this is his father. Now, this girl seriously has some major daddy issues. Drama queen, likes to screw things up. Remember, he thought they had an amazing relationship. How should I go about this? I don't need closure or to confront them. I don't want to know how their gross relationship started or how long it's been going on for. I just need advice on how to approach the situation without causing a bigger mess than there already is. Any advice is welcome. Thank you for reading. I would tell your mother and the other family. I would tell her family. I would kick her out of the apartment if she's not on the lease. Or if she is, you can get out of there. I'd have nothing to do with her. I'd have nothing to do with the father. No one would blame him if he gave a hook shot to his dad. I'd have nothing to do with him. But he did say that his mom is dependent on the dad, so it's a very tough and ugly situation. Now on to part 2. It says here, as per someone's advice, I asked my mother to lunch, and after some small talk, I informed her of the situation. She was understandably upset and in denial about the whole situation, as my father had spoken to her prior about me still holding a grudge. A story for another time. and that I would be likely to come up with a lie to turn her against him for revenge. What a piece of shit. He got to the mom first, and the mother, of course, doesn't want to believe that her husband would do this, let alone to the son, and she's dependent on him. But after showing her the messages they had sent afterwards, she was distraught and visibly angry about the ordeal. I then asked her if she would be comfortable with me sending an email to our relevant family members and Kate's parents and siblings, and while she was a little reluctant about it, she said she didn't want the backlash from his family for leaving him. I then did just that. I sent an email explaining the situation, that my mother and I would be going no contact with both Kate and my father, and low contact with anyone who gave either of us grief for our decision. Now she's staying with her older sister while I'm with a classmate until we can figure out our stable living situation for us both. Now on to another update. He says after the email was sent, there was radio silence for a day or two before both my mother and I were bombarded with a mix of messages that I'll just summarize in small paragraphs. Now listen to this nonsense. He says, apparently Kate's parents were evidently enraged that I accused their daughter of such a thing. You think he would just do this for the fun of it? He had proof. Good Lord. And they would be suing me for defamation on their daughter's behalf. I then took the liberty of sending them the screenshots of both Kate and my father's messages, and they left me unseen for a couple of days before replying to me and informing me that while they wouldn't sue me, they would appreciate if I kept the situation under wraps. Oh yeah, sure, because your daughter deserves that. And suing him? For what? Telling people the truth? My father was the first to message my mom, attempting to convince her that I staged the messages and that I was being petty and lying. And when she wouldn't believe me, he accused her of cheating on him and trying to find a way out of their marriage. Good Lord. You know, these two scumbags deserve each other. And I gotta say, I think the guy's probably in such shock over the situation, he doesn't have time to be brokenhearted with the girl that did this to him or his dad doing this to him. There's a reason he doesn't have a relationship with his dad. His dad's a freaking lowlife. He's trying to find out a way out of the marriage, which evidently isn't possible for my mother as she has trouble getting from place to place. He then apologized and told her that he was just frustrated and asked to see her when she declined, he again accused her of cheating and staying with her lover while abandoning him. He's accusing the handicapped mother of cheating on him. Well, that's what cheaters do. They assume everybody else is like that. They accuse and gaslight and all that. Also, my maternal grandparents and paternal grandparents had very different messages, and not in a way I thought they would. My paternal grandparents apologized for his behavior and told my mom that if she needed support in the future, they were available, and informed her they would be disowning and going no contact with my father. There you go. Now listen to her parents. My maternal grandparents, her parents, however, despite being the people that raised her and told her that due to her injury and not being able to fulfill her husband's needs, it was only right of him to look elsewhere for fulfillment, while they understood that it was wrong because it was my partner. Well, I'd have nothing to do with those grandparents. Kate was available for him. My mother should forgive him and move on. They also made a point to state that my mother needs my father more than he needs her. Holy, where the hell do these assholes come from? His dad's an asshole. Her parents are assholes. His girlfriend's an asshole. It's like Spaceballs. I'm surrounded by assholes. Also, Kate's two older sisters reached out and thanked me for telling them and informed us that we, my mother and I, if we need assistance in the future in regards to my mother's health, as one is an elderly caretaker and the other is a physiotherapist, they are willing to help. These aren't all the messages, but they're the relevant ones. I'll make part 2 so this doesn't get too long. Good freaking Lord. So, now we're going to move on to part 3. He says, final update. My mother and I gave ourselves a few days to get through all the messages and phone calls and block my maternal grandparents as well as my father. My mother didn't already have him blocked. I contacted my landlord and real estate agent and informed them briefly of the situation, and I was no longer living on the premises and that I would like to have my name taken off the lease. Luckily, our lease was being renewed in the coming week, and the next day they contacted Kate to inform her that I'd taken my name off the lease. Awesome. Talk about lucky timing. Imagine if he'd renewed the lease a few weeks earlier and he's stuck on it for a year. I informed Kate I'd take my name off the lease for the following month, and in the next week, if she was unable to take my portion of the rent, she would have 3 months to vacate the property. Awesome. I don't know how she reacted, but I could tell it wasn't overly ecstatic as her parents contacted me and asked if, despite everything, would I be willing to pay for her rent just for this month. Get the fuck out of here. After all that, he's going to pay for her rent? Oh, you're doing my dad, and you were lying to me and treating me like shit and getting violent with me when I was asking questions, and you want me to pay your rent for a month? Yeah, okay. And by the way, parents of Kate, you're the ones that say you're going to sue me for saying the truth. Yeah, you can pay her rent, not me. Because she doesn't have the money at the moment. Obviously, I declined, told them that I no longer have anything to do with her anymore. And you. They then informed me that she was pregnant with my child and need assistance from the father of the baby. No, prove it. Let's have a test done. If that indeed is my child, but here's the thing. The dad's doing her. So even if she's pregnant from the dad, I got to wonder if that's going to make it look like it could be his as well. It could be his or his dad. Who the hell knows? And this would be their last goodbye. I then laughed and told them I most definitely wasn't the father of the baby, and if she was pregnant and if she needed assistance from the baby daddy to contact my father, that I hung up and blocked them. That probably won't be the last time you hear from them. On a brighter note, my mother and I just put a down payment on a house together and are looking into hiring a caregiver to help my mom from when I have work or trips out of state. My father has attempted to call us both from multiple phone numbers and has had numerous family members try to persuade my mother into meeting up with him to chat. And as a result, my mother and I have gotten new phone numbers to avoid this mess. I would have nothing to do with all the family that are on his side. No freaking way. I also happen to hear that from a mate that Kate is trying to hire a lawyer so she can get child support money from me, but apparently because she has no proof that I'm the father and refuses to take a DNA test of the baby, she hasn't had any luck. Also, I forgot to mention above that I didn't see an important writing this, but Kate is apparently 5 weeks pregnant. We haven't been intimate for just under 2 months, so the baby is unlikely to be mine. If it is, I'll pay child support, but I want proof before I pay her any money for that baby that may or may not be mine. So there you go, guys. The father. That's why I said you're not going to believe this crap. Of all people, she could cheat on the father. Obviously, she's got her daddy issues, and but also really freaking twisted. Because she could have probably hooked up with some 60-year-old guy who goes to the gym and is gawking at her when she's on the treadmill or whatever, but still, his own dad. These two a-holes deserve each other. And, of course, she's pregnant. But you know what? Not his problem. Unless it can be proven that's his kid. So, guys, like I said before, you can't make this shit up. Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0. You must always pay attention for red flags and investigate the red flags. And as you can see in these stories, there's always major pushback when a guy can sense something's going on. The girl lied to his face, twist things around, make him out to be the bad guy. You can't back down. And he's never going to get that image out of his dad plowing his girlfriend. But I'd be like, y'all can have each other. I'm going to take care of mom and be what she needs and move on and continue on with his life and take it one day at a time. But after all this cools down, he's got some serious trust issues, and you can't blame him. He's got to take it one day at a time. And as much as he loves his mom, he can't make the rest of his life being about taking care of his mom, or otherwise he'll become like a son husband. There's a balance there. You take care of your mom and help her, of course, but don't become the son husband, you know. And as for the ex, you know, she can go to hell. And hopefully that kid is not his, and I'm sure it's not. And I just hope that he doesn't get hung out to dry and they think it is his kid and a bunch of drama comes his way. But I wish him the best. Alright guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me just think about this. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.